This is as follows. Electronic monitoring data placing Williams Jr. at the offense location, which would put him in violation of his home detention conditions. Cell phone records and license plate reader data corroborating the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas. Rental car records confirming Williams Sr. rented a vehicle that was used by the group. Surveillance footage from the offense location, a nearby office supply store, and a hotel where several of the defendants stayed following the offense. Fingerprint evidence as well that was recovered from the crime scene, matching at least two of the defendants. Social media posts by defendants displaying what appears to be stolen property just in the days following the offense. Greyhound bus records confirming the travel of multiple defendants from Dallas to Memphis the day after the offense.
We begin tonight with shocking allegations from the Justice Department. Prosecutors claim well-known rapper Gucci Mane was kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint in Dallas.
Yeah, and they're investigating 9 suspects right now. It happened at a music studio and involves several other rappers, including Pooh Shiesty and Big 30.
The FBI arrested 9 people in connection with a violent robbery and kidnapping at a Dallas recording studio.
Closer to home, we are following more breaking news after learning 2 big-name Memphis rappers have been arrested in connection to a robbery at a Dallas music studio back in January.
To Dallas, you're going to be hearing from the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas. This is Ryan Raybould announcing multiple arrests in a case where authorities allege Atlanta rapper Gucci Mane was robbed and kidnapped.
9 men, including Memphis rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, are facing federal charges for allegedly kidnapping and robbing rapper Gucci Mane.
Federal agents on the ground in Cordova searching a home owned by the family of rapper Pooh Shiesty. The feds confirmed to Fox 13 they executed a federal search and arrest warrant. Neighbors reporting hearing flashbangs as agents entered the home early this morning.
Hey, major news out of the music industry today. Rappers by the stage names of Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 have been arrested along with several others. And they're accused of robbing and kidnapping another rapper going by the name of Gucci Mane. All happened at gunpoint apparently in Dallas. The Department of Justice revealing new details on that investigation today.
Assistant Special Agent in charge of FBI Dallas. And we will have a brief question and answer session after their remarks. Please identify yourself by your name and your media outlet when asking questions, and confine the content of your questions to today's press conference. At the podium, joining Ryan Raybould and Jeremy Wright is Executive Assistant Chief of Police with the Dallas Police Department, Terrence Rhodes, Assistant U.S. Attorney Robert Weathers, Assistant U.S. Attorney Claire Demers, and Assistant U.S. Attorney and Violent Crimes Chief Jeremy Fugate, all of the Northern District of Texas. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Raybould. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas. Thank you for coming. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. 8 of the 9 were arrested yesterday in Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville. These individuals who are charged and arrested include Lontrell Williams Jr., also known as Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., also known as Big 30, Kadarius Waters, Demarion Gibson, DeMarcus Glover, Corday Johnson, Darian McDaniel, and Terrence Rogers has not been arrested yet, but will be soon. The complaint alleges that on January 10th of this year, 3 music industry professionals traveled to Dallas for a scheduled business meeting. Lontrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims. As alleged, once these 3 men were inside the recording studio, Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint. The remaining conspirators displayed firearms and robbed the other victims of Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, and other high-value items. One of the victims was actually choked by one of the defendants to the point of near unconsciousness. Defendant Wright barricaded the studio door with his body to prevent the victims from escaping. The ringleader of the conspiracy, Lontrell Williams Jr., was on home confinement at the time of the offense, as alleged, for a prior firearms conspiracy charge and conviction out of the Southern District of Florida. Towards the end of his prison sentence, he had been granted home detention. Part of the terms of his home detention were that he would not commit another federal offense or possess a firearm. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., is alleged to have helped plan and execute the federal kidnapping as charged in the complaint. And as described further in the complaint, within hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victims. The charging document outlines some of the evidence, just some, establishing the defendants' roles in the federal offense. This is as follows: electronic monitoring data placing Williams Jr. at the offense location, which would put him in violation of his home detention conditions. Cell phone records and license plate reader data corroborating the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas. Rental car records confirming Williams Sr. rented a vehicle that was used by the group. Surveillance footage from the offense location, a nearby office supply store, and a hotel where several of the defendants stayed following the offense. Fingerprint evidence as well that was recovered from the crime scene, matching at least 2 of the defendants. Social media posts by defendants displaying what appears to be stolen property just in the days following the offense. Greyhound bus records confirming the travel of multiple defendants from Dallas to Memphis the day after the offense. The victims in this case came to Dallas to conduct legitimate business, and they were met with firearms and violence as alleged in the charging document. This case should serve as a warning to others who believe that using violence and intimidation tactics to rob others in our community is a viable way to conduct business. I'm here to say that it is not, and that if you choose to do this, we will, together with our law enforcement partners here and the other ones in the Northern District of Texas, will bring you swiftly to justice. I want to thank the FBI Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force, the FBI's Memphis Resident Agency and Nashville Field Office, the Memphis Safe Task Force, the Dallas Police Department, the United States Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee, Michael Dunovit, and AUSA Greg Wagner, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Texas, my dear friend and colleague Jay Combs, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Tennessee, including my colleague Braden Busek, for their outstanding contributions in this multi-jurisdictional investigation and prosecution. I'd also like to highlight the extraordinary work. None of this happens without the extraordinary work of our AUSAs in this office, and I'm here to say we have the best AUSAs in the entire country. That includes AUSAs Robert Withers, Claire Demers, and my violent crime chief Jeremy Fugate. This case really underscores the importance of standing up for crime victims, no matter who they are or where they come from, and the incredible collaborative, investigative partnerships that we have, not only in the Northern District of Texas, but across the country, and we are all working together to make our country safer. So thank you for being here today, and I'll answer some questions after my colleague here speaks. But now I'm going to turn it over to him, and this is Jeremy Wright, who's the Dallas FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. As Ryan said, my name is Jeremy Wright, Assistant Special Agent in charge for FBI Dallas. As United States Attorney Raybould said, we're here today to announce the arrest of several individuals in the Memphis and Nashville, Tennessee areas, as long as one here in Frisco, Texas. These arrests are the result of a violent kidnapping of 3 individuals here in the Dallas area. The majority of those arrested did travel from Memphis to Dallas to commit that offense. Our office collaborated with multiple law enforcement agencies and other FBI offices to carry out this investigation that ultimately led to these arrests. So I'd like to thank the Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force, Dallas Police Department, the Memphis Safe Task Force, Memphis, Tennessee Police Department, and the Shelby County, Tennessee Sheriff's Department for helping with this investigation. Violent crime does remain a top priority for the FBI, and we dedicated significant resources from here in Dallas FBI, Nashville, Little Rock, Birmingham, and Atlanta FBI offices to investigate and successfully arrest these individuals. We remain committed to investigating violent crimes like these. No matter who you are, we will fight every day alongside our partners to make our communities safer. Thank you.
And we have time for some questions. If you would just identify who you were with and your name would be helpful. Yes, sir.
Kevin Reese with WFAA.
Hi, Kevin.
It may be in the release that you're going to send us, but can you be more specific to who these victims are and a specific location of this studio that you were talking about?
I'll answer the last part first. Yes, it'll be in the complaint, and we're happy to get you a copy of that. It's now unsealed. It was off Dallas Parkway in Dallas, Texas, a music studio. That's what's identified in the complaint. As far as victims go, we won't get into, at this time, who the victims are or not.
Chase with the Dallas Morning News. Can you describe the injuries suffered by the 3 victims?
So one of the victims, and this is actually in the complaint, and we'll get you a copy as well, there's a photograph of the injury. It looks like there's some abrasions on the neck and arm.
You are still seeking one suspect, you said?
One of the individuals that's been charged has not had his initial appearance yet, but agents are actively working to locate and bring him to court. Agents are working to find him. The complaint has already been unsealed, and a number of these defendants have had their public hearing already, their initial appearance, and so it's already out there that this individual has been charged, and so that information is in the public record. But I trust that the agents will be able to identify this person and find them and bring them to justice. Of course, that person can turn themselves in immediately.
2 questions. This is Jason Vidal. So the initial incident happens in January 10th.
Mm-hmm.
We're here in April.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe the timeline and the length of time, why we're talking about this now? Because it sounds like these arrests happened recently. And then the second part of that question, did all of the arrests happen yesterday, or were they happening over the span of time that we're talking about?
Yeah, good questions. I'll start with the last part. 8 of the 9 happened yesterday, and then we're still working on one more. And that was, again, a lot of those happened in Memphis, one happened in Nashville, and we're working now with our Georgia counterparts to get the last person brought to justice. Do you want to ask another question, follow up to that?
Actually, I forgot he had 2. Come back to me after you answer the second.
Okay, and remind me of your first part, sir.
We had the initial incident on January 10th,
Yep.
here April 2nd. Can you describe and kind of characterize why, that amount of time passed before there were arrests?
Well, that was one of the reasons I wanted to list off some of the evidence that has been uncovered to date. A lot of this was subpoena work, search warrant work, and things like that in order to develop the investigation. And so the agents here with me, the agents out in the field, it takes a little bit of time to identify who did this offense and build a case so that we feel comfortable bringing the charges. So actually that's pretty quickly for a federal case of this gravity and this nature. And so I'm very proud of the investigative work, and it will continue from this office as well as our FBI and our local police department.
If convicted of these charges, these arrests, how serious are these crimes? What do these people face?
They're facing a range, so there's no mandatory minimum in this case. It's a range of punishment, and it'll be in the province of the judge, whoever gets the case. But it could be from 0 all the way to life imprisonment. And as you know, a lot of what will guide what's called the sentencing guidelines will be the individual's previous criminal history, the fact that one of these individuals committed the offense while on home confinement, so actually serving a federal offense. Assuming that individual is convicted, that will be an aggravating factor for sure.
Just real quick, I was curious, I know you're being quiet so far on the victims here, but could you at least tell us, outside of them being local to Dallas, were they aspiring artists? Are they known locally or even nationally? Can you at least tell us that?
I'm not going to get into the victim stuff at this time. I think that more will be coming out there that will help clarify, but I'm not at liberty at this stage of the investigation to disclose that.
And then, can you describe the operation to conduct all of those arrests? I imagine they were in different places. Maybe they all happened around the same time. I'm not sure.
I'm going to hand that one off to my colleague here, Jeremy Wright.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It requires a lot of partnerships across multiple jurisdictions to be able to conduct simultaneous arrests in a manner, to not alert other folks and to do it safely. So really it's just a coordinated effort. And fortunately, we have great relationships here locally with Dallas PD and our other partners, as well as other FBI offices have the similar relationships. Memphis is unique. They have the Memphis Safe Task Force there currently, which was kind of a help in a lot of this. So it's really just coordination and pre-planning.
And a follow-up to that. So were all of the arrests in Memphis, or?
No. Memphis, we had one in Frisco, Texas, yesterday morning. The rest were in Memphis. And as the U.S. Attorney said, we're actively pursuing the final arrest.
Yeah. Did you have another question, sir?
Mugshots, is that going to be out sometime?
I think that becomes public record, but I'm not sure. If I could follow up with you right after, Catherine, if you would get to make sure that we get that information over there. Thank you for coming. If there are any further questions, I just want to underscore the importance here in Northern District of Texas of vigorously prosecuting violent crime. And a couple days ago, I did a press conference in Fort Worth, Texas, but it just highlights the collaboration. The state, local police are some of our best friends and best partners. Chief Como is a dear friend and partner of this office and has been fantastic for us, working with some of the best in the business, the FBI, and I'm just really honored to stand shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in my office. So again, we look forward to prosecuting this case vigorously, and if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to Catherine Miller. Thank you.
All right, so that was the very latest from Dallas, Texas, as we wanted to share just a little bit more information about this breaking news. This is from TMZ, but what we were hearing from the FBI and other agents is that rapper Pooh Shiesty and his father were arrested by the FBI. There were a number of other arrests as well. So we did want to bring you the very latest in this investigation and that breaking news update that rapper Pooh Shiesty and his father are now under arrest.
Kevin Reese has more on what we're learning about the alleged attack.
January 10th at a recording studio on Dallas Parkway. Two musicians, one from Atlanta, one from Memphis, agreed to meet. Bradrick Davis, otherwise known as Gucci Mane, and an artist on his 1017 Records label.
The whole world been waiting on
Montrell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty,
executed a coordinated armed takeover.
Prosecutors say Williams wanted out of his recording contract, brought several associates with him to that meeting. And then Williams Jr. then pulled out what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from a bag and pointed it at Davis. demanding again that he sign the contractual release paperwork. Prosecutors say one victim was choked until nearly unconscious, and that they robbed the victims of jewelry and Rolex watches and later paraded their prizes on social media. 8 of the 9 suspects were arrested this week.
If you choose to do this, we will, together with our law enforcement partners here and the other ones in the Northern District of Texas, will bring you swiftly to justice.
Wednesday in Memphis, federal agents were seen at Lontrell Williams' home. And those arrested along with him include his own father, Lontrell Williams Sr., shown on surveillance video outside that recording studio.
We remain committed to investigating violent crimes like these. No matter who you are, we will fight every day alongside our partners to make our communities safer.
The suspects face federal charges of kidnapping and conspiracy. Lontrell Williams Jr., a.k.a. Pooh Shiesty, was just released from federal prison last October after serving 3 years for shootings in Florida.
This comes just one day after Fox 13 broke the story about a raid at a Cordova home that belongs to Pooh Shiesty's dad. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm Darcy Thomas. A neighbor told Fox 13 that raid started around 5:30 yesterday morning.
These couple of loud booms, so I came outside and, I heard them say, come out with your hands up. We've got a warrant.
Tonight, we've learned while agents were arresting Pooh Shiesty's dad here, agents were also arresting the rapper in Texas. Now, the same day he was released from federal custody after serving 3 years for a gun crime. Fox 13's investigative reporter Kayla Solomon joins us live from the federal courthouse in Memphis, where some of the men implicated are scheduled to go before a judge tomorrow. Kayla, investigators say the alleged crimes happened in Texas.
Yeah, Darcy, the Department of Justice says this all stemmed from a business meeting that occurred in a Dallas recording studio earlier this year. If you recall, Fox 13 told you that Lontrell Williams Jr., also known as Pooh Shiesty, was released from federal prison and placed in a halfway house in Dallas just months ago.
Lontrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims.
Williams, also known as Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty, was signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 record label. Gucci Mane's real name is Roderick Davis. Court records identified the victim of the alleged crimes as RD.
Once these 3 men were inside the recording studio, Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint.
Ryan Raybould is the U.S. attorney on the case. He says the other men involved, including Rodney Wright Jr., known as Big 30, and Pooh Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., robbed the victims of items including Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, and other high-value items.
Within hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victims.
Raybould also said electronic monitoring placed Pooh Shiesty at the studio in Dallas at the time, even though he was on home detention.
Part of the terms of his home detention were that he would not commit another federal offense or possess a firearm. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., is alleged to have helped plan and execute the federal kidnapping as charged in the complaint.
Williams Sr. and 4 of the other men will appear in federal court here in Memphis tomorrow. We know that Pooh Shiesty is expected in federal court also tomorrow, but in Dallas. Coming up at 6, I'll tell you more about what evidence was used in the indictment. Darcy.
That is Fox 13's Kayla Solomon reporting live. Thank you so much, Kayla. Now, she just mentioned Pooh Shiesty has been in trouble with the law before. The rapper was sentenced to 63 months for shooting a man at a Florida hotel in 2020. He pleaded guilty to firearms conspiracy in 2023 to avoid a worse sentence. He was transferred to a halfway house in Dallas earlier this year.
And our crew saw them carrying boxes out of the home as well. And this happened over the past several hours. Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre has the latest details from Cordova. We're going to check in with him.
We're still working to learn the specifics in this house raid that took place here at this home in Cordova. We do know that according to the Shelby County Assessor's Office, that this home is registered to Lontrell Williams. Now, Lontrell Williams, that is the father of Pooh Shiesty, who also has the name Lontrell Williams Jr. Now, as for the specifics into this investigation, we're still working that out. We have learned that that this was an official warrant that was issued for this home, a search warrant for this home. Those FBI agents, TBI agents, came to this neighborhood about 5:30 or so. People who live in this neighborhood told us that they heard flashbangs, and they also heard the shouting from the FBI agents, TBI agents, telling whoever inside of the home to come out with their hands up. Again, this happened about 5:30 or so this morning. Take a listen to what people we spoke to who are very on edge this morning after what happened early this morning, waking them up.
Heard these couple of loud booms, so I came outside and, I heard them say, come out with your hands up. We've got a warrant.
Now, again, the FBI confirming that this was an investigation, a raid that took place at this home. Of course, stay with Fox 13. We're going to continue to stay on top of this story for you all throughout the day.
Good evening. I'm Clarice Tinsley. Investigators say the main suspect, a Memphis rapper known as Pooh Shiesty, held a group of musicians at gunpoint during a dispute over a recording contract. Fox 4's Alex Boyer is live with details. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Clarice, this is certainly a crazy story. According to that complaint, he, along with his father and 7 others, traveled to Dallas back in January to go to a recording studio to meet up for a purported business meeting. But once there, the rapper allegedly held a record executive at gunpoint over that record deal dispute.
From rapper to accused kidnapper, Lontrell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty, seen here in his YouTube video, is under arrest for allegedly assaulting the owner of his record label, New 1017 Records, during a purported business meeting in Dallas back on January 10th. At the time of the incident, he was on house arrest for a previous unrelated crime.
Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint.
Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators lured the 3 victims to a Dallas recording studio. The gist of it is this: Williams wanted out of his contract with New 1017 Records, which is owned by fellow rapper Gucci Mane. Federal investigators say Williams pointed an AK-style weapon to the head of the victim, identified in the complaint by his initials RD, and forced that person to sign a release to his recording contract. Gucci Mane's real name is Radrick Davis, which matches the victim's initials. The group also reportedly stole expensive watches and jewelry from the victims before taking off. Investigators say they posted these pics on social media.
One of the victims was actually choked by one of the defendants to the point of near unconsciousness.
A picture of one of the victims' injuries was also included in the federal complaint. The co-defendants include another Memphis rapper, Big 30, and Lontrell Williams Sr., Pooh Shiesty's dad. Our sister station in Memphis was there on Wednesday when the FBI executed a search warrant on the senior Williams' home. Dad reportedly set up the meeting between his son and the victims. Neighbors reacted to the early morning raid.
I heard them say, come out with your hands up. We've got a warrant.
Our office collaborated with multiple law enforcement agencies and other FBI offices to carry out this investigation that ultimately led to these arrests.
Meanwhile, the FBI says it is still searching for one more suspect believed to be in the Georgia area. I can tell you that the defendants face a wide range of charges, including kidnapping and robbery.
This comes after rapper Pooh Shiesty's family home in Cordova was searched yesterday morning by the FBI. The DA's office of Northern Texas confirms that both Pooh Shiesty and his father were arrested along with Memphis rapper Big 30. The DA's office tells us that the 3, along with 6 others, came to Dallas to kidnap and rob victims who they thought were coming to town to discuss a recording contract with one of the victims. But the DA's office says the meeting took a turn when Shiesty pulled out an AK-style pistol and forced the victim to sign a release from the contract at gunpoint.